To those that have watched me from the beginning, I have stated in the past that I'm an equal opportunity expose artist, and that I have no problem exposing even myself. Well, I'm looking over my entire upload history, and with a few small mentions and a handful of videos, I've not once dedicated an entire video to doing so. So I reckon it's time to rectify this. Now, I consider myself to be a pretty hardcore gamer. My very first console experience was with the Mattel Intellivision, and I've owned several consoles ever since then. However, there are still some classic and revered games that to this day I haven't ever played, which might cause others to question my gamer cred. So, I figured I might as well just expose myself by counting down the top 10 classic games that I have never played. Now for this list, there are some instances where there is an entire series of games I haven't played, so I'm just going to lump them all into one entry. Also, since I've never played any of these games, I don't feel like I have any right to show off any gameplay footage from other sources, so don't expect to see any of that. With that all out of the way, let's get started. Number 10. The Halo series. That's right. I have never played a single solitary Halo game. Granted, I've watched plenty of people play them, but I've never played any of them myself. Now, this barely makes the list, because while they are pretty much now classic first-person shooters that you'd have to be living under a rock to not know about, unlike the rest of the entries on this list, I'll probably never play any of these because, quite frankly, I have no interest. To me, these games come off as being like Call of Duty with an operatic sci-fi storyline and a more robust vehicle system, and that's about it. And I have no interest in playing anything like that. Next, number 9. The HalfLife series. Yep, I haven't played either of the main Half-Life games, nor have I played the uber-popular spin-off known as Counter-Strike. I played Portal 2, but as far as any other games in this universe, that's it. Since I just recently got Steam around late March of this year, I've got several games on my list to eventually purchase and play, and both Half-Life games are on said list. This is going to become a bit of a pattern for the rest of this list. Next, number 8. The System Shock series. Okay, last spot on the countdown dedicated to an entire game series. Well, sorta, but I'll get to that later. While I've played both BioShock and BioShock Infinite, the System Shock games still elude me to this day. Primarily because until just recently, I've only really ever dabbled in PC gaming. Sure, I played a shit ton of Doom 2 when I was younger, but as far as other PC franchises go, that was about it. Once again, though, I have Steam, so I plan on getting and experiencing these two games in the future. Number 7. Deus Ex. Pretty much everything I just said regarding the System Shock games applies here as well. Reason why it makes it higher on the countdown is due to the fact that I've played Deus Ex Human Revolution and loved the fuck out of it. So you'd think it would make me want to get off my ass and play not only the very game that started the franchise, but the game that a lot of people consider to be better than the one I played. While I do plan on getting it in the future, I'm not tripping over my own dick to do so. Number 6. Xenogears. While I watched somebody play it a long time ago when it first came out, I never experienced it myself. Reason being is because at that time, I had no interest in turn-based RPGs because I stupidly considered them to be boring. It wasn't until about 5 or so months later, when I was desperate not to leave my local game rental store empty-handed, that I reluctantly left with a copy of the first Persona for PS1. After I started playing it, I realized that turn-based RPGs not only weren't that bad after all, but they were actually pretty damn good. Unfortunately, my newly acquired phase of RPGs didn't extend to this game, and to this day, I've yet to experience it. Number 5. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Now we're getting into reprehensible territory. At the time that this came out, I could no longer claim that I wasn't interested in RPGs of any kind. At the time this came out, even though I still didn't care that much about PC gaming, I owned an original Xbox, so there was no excuse not to play it. Honestly, I don't even really have an answer as to why I never played this. I just didn't. Thankfully, though, I will eventually experience it on Steam. This also falls into that kind of category regarding the series as a whole, because I've also never played Knights of the Old Republic 2 or the Old Republic. However, I've heard Knights of the Old Republic 2 is a glitch-filled mess, and the Old Republic is an MMO, and I don't like MMOs, so I don't really think I'm interested in either of those. The original game, however, I'm very much interested in and will eventually play it. Number 4. Dragon Age Origins. Pretty much everything I said about Knights of the Old Republic applies here as well, except for one small detail that makes it even worse. I actually own a copy of this game. Yep, I bought this game for PS3, and yet I still never got around to it, as other games had more priority. That might have changed had it not been for the fact that the piece of shit roommate that I had to live with in the barracks when I was stationed at Fort Stewart, Georgia, stole a good chunk of my PS3 games, Dragon Age being one of them. And I knew it was him, not only because my PS3 would sometimes be on when I'd come back, when I knew for a fact that I had turned it off before I left, and he was the only one that had access to that room besides me, but there was also one time when the on-post MPs came knocking on the door looking for his worthless ass because he had been caught selling stolen cell phones to GameStop. So I'll bet money that's exactly what he did to my games. Thankfully, I got his fucking ass back by not only stealing some of his DVDs and Blu-rays, but also one of his pairs of expensive shoes. And his daughter's baby book. And his high school diploma. Spare me the two wrongs don't make a right shit or that I went too far, okay? I had to live with this annoying scumbag piece of shit, so the way I see it, he deserved it, and I haven't lost a second's sleep over it. But back to the topic at hand. Like Knights of the Old Republic, this can be considered one of those kind of things when it comes to a series of games, because I haven't played Dragon Age 2 or Inquisition either. However, from what I've heard, I'd probably want to stay far away from Dragon Age 2, and I really don't want to play Inquisition until I play the first game, so it looks like a purchase on Steam in the near future is warranted. And before you even bring it up, yes, I played the entire Mass Effect trilogy, so no need to worry about that. Next, number 3. Earthbound. Oh boy. Pretty much what I'd said earlier about having no interest in turn-based RPGs at the time that this came out applies. However, that was when I was young and stupid. So what the fuck is my excuse now, considering that I have the fucking game on my emulator? Yep, I have a digital copy of this game on my SNES emulator on my PC, and I still haven't played the damn thing. This is going to become a theme for these last 3 entries. I can't give the excuse of it being some PC exclusive, and I can't give any excuse about not being interested in this type of genre, and I damn sure can't give the excuse of not having it and not being able to find it, because it's right here on my system. You're looking at it right now. Now shit is getting downright reprehensible. Number 2. Super Mario RPG. Everything said in the previous entry applies here as well, except this is kind of worse considering that it's one of the most celebrated Mario games of all time, and considering how much I enjoy the Mario series, the fact that I haven't played this is criminal. Especially because, once again, I've got this on my damn computer. I don't really have much more to say on this, so since we're almost at the end, let's just get this over with. And the number 1 most classic and revered game that I have never played is Chrono Trigger. I'll bet if some of you haven't already, you're probably staring at the screen in utter disgust right now. This bad boy right here is not only considered one of the best turn-based RPGs of all time, but also one of the greatest games, period, of all time. And considering that this game has been re-released multiple times, how I've still not played it is beyond me. And what's worse, That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I have a copy of it on my computer for my emulator. This bad boy gets the top spot not only for how beloved and how much of a classic game it is, not only due to all the times it's been re-released after the time period in which I started to take an interest in these types of games, one of which was for the PS1, which is how I first experienced Final Fantasy VI, but also because I fucking have it. Yet with all these details and the opportunities I had to play this game whenever the fuck I want, I still haven't done so yet. Really, the only explanation I could give for this, and the majority of these other games I haven't played, is laziness. Pure laziness. Nothing more and everything less. And with that, we've reached the end of the list of classic games that I've yet to fucking play. While I expect to see plenty of OMG, WTF is wrong with you? Play these games now! Type of comments, keep in mind that while it's well within your prerogative to leave these remarks, doing so is not going to make me play any of these games any faster. In fact, it will probably make me not want to play them out of spite, regardless of what I may very well be depriving myself of. Also, while there are plenty of classic games that I haven't played, like what was shown on this list, there's also quite a few underrated games that I played that very few people have, let alone even heard of. But that's another list for another video at another time. All in all, it doesn't even really matter what obscure games I played or not. For the mere fact that I haven't played the essentials that I've shown on this list, I can consider myself very much exposed. Well, there you have it. My first video where I've happily exposed myself for all to see. And I'm sure it's not going to be the last either. Now hopefully this will put to rest any notions that I feel like I'm better than anybody else or that my shit don't stink. Because it very much does, just like everybody else's. I'm going to start putting up some more non-exposure/drama videos in the near future, so be on the lookout for those. Until next time, I'm the goddamn great exposer, and I have spoken. Have a good one.